Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, Hail the Lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Ras Tafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Ras Tafari.
I did a postdoc in Oxford, and you know what was really interesting about that? Teaching them Oxford kids. What was really interesting. So I used to give them people like to read, because I do politics, right? So I used to give them people like Karl Marx. I used to give them Frantz Fanon, right? Now, what's interesting about this? Those two thinkers in different ways basically say that power and hierarchies and inequalities and oppressions are all structural. In other words, meaning it's not simply because you're stupid that you're poor. It's not simply because it's not because you come from a bad family or bad stock that you're poor. There are structural things which make it much more likely for certain ones in certain places to remain poor and to remain oppressed, right? This is the structural argument, right?
Okay.
Now, I used to give it to the working class youth who were in Oxford, right? I used to give, and they hated it. They hated that argument, right? I used to give it to the rich ones. They loved it.
Wow.
Why? Because for the rich ones, it simply affirmed, right, why they were there. Because this is structural. Their parents were rich. They're going to be rich. Yes. They've been trained up their whole life to be expecting to walk through these corridors of power, ostentatious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Right? So Fanon and Marx and all them ones basically affirmed it helped them to explain themselves to themselves.
Yes.
Now, you take the poor, you take the working class ones, right? They have been told that the only reason they're walking through them spaces is because of their own merit.
The year is 1892, and the land of Ethiopia has been experiencing 4 years of terrible famine and drought. They call it the Kikuken, or the evil days. At least 1/3 of the human population and 90% of the cattle have died. The hyenas have feasted on so many carcasses that they have become overweight and barely able to move. Just when the people could take no more of the evil days, a woman named Wasiro Yeshimabet is giving birth in a place called Ergersa Gora. This is her 9th attempt to bring forth new life. Her previous 8 attempts only resulted in death. Will this child live? Thankfully, a healthy baby boy is born. His first cries are drowned by thunder and lightning flashes across the night sky. The heavens open up and torrential rain starts to fall. Ethiopia's drought is over, and the baby boy is given the name Tafari, meaning one to be feared or respected. Lich Tafari's father, Ras Tafari, is a very important man in 1892 Ethiopia. Although he is overjoyed at the birth of his newborn son, he cannot spend much time with him. Ras Tafari is the governor of Harar and must get back to the famous walled city to deal with its affairs. Furthermore, he is the foreign minister of Ethiopia, and having traveled to different places in Europe, he is very aware of the material and military advances they have made and the looming threats they pose to his country. Ras Tafari knows that the majority of Ethiopians have no idea what is coming, and that he has to work that much harder to secure the realm. Lich Tafari would grow up to become the legendary emperor, Haile Selassie I. To understand his journey, we must first understand the Ethiopia that he was inheriting and what it was like when he was born in 1892. Get your copy of Kwesi Bansu's book, Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1, The Rise of the Priestly Warrior Kings, and increase your knowledge about the history, politics, and culture of Ethiopia in 1892, and how it connects to the rest of African and world history at the time. Haile Selassie I, Ethiopia, Volume 1 is available for purchase at www.bookmanexpress.pub. Please visit for more information.
Please, family, Lion Pride. I know many will watch this after the fact because we changed days and thing. And yeah, we know say the family I got yard in. But Lion Pride, whenever you watch this, help I to welcome warmly our guest for the evening, Professor Robbie Shillingford. Royal greetings.
Where's Kwasi? Give thanks.
Yes,
it's an honor to be on the network. It's an honor to be on the network.
Yes. And I should have said Chile. I'm sorry.
It's good, man. It's good. No
problem. So, I've been looking forward to this for some time, hearing of the iWorks from various ones in the community who, I respect in terms of their own academic achievements. Ras Jolani, Ras Wynn, Sister Colleen, many others, who have Mama Walete, Dr. Walete, who is one of our Lion Pride and Patreon supporters as well. All have spoken so highly of the iWork. We've had a chance to reason briefly, but we haven't really had a chance to really go deep. And it just so happens I do have a network, so we're going to do that tonight. We're going to go deep, you know what I mean? Because I know your brain is well ready. So just tell us, where the I was born and the I journey to Rastafari. Take us in the Lion Talk time machine.
Yes, give thanks. So I was born in the UK in 1969. On my dad's side, it's kind of coal mining in the UK, and then on my mum's side, that's the African connection, and it comes through the Indian Ocean, actually. So my granddad came to the UK in 1907. And what's interesting is that when I was growing up in the UK, ones might know, by that point in time, the Black presence was very much Caribbean, if not Jamaican and Trinidadian, right? But before that moment, it was a very Pan-African space. The I will know ones from the continent, ones from everywhere, right? So when I was growing up, anything to do with Blackness was gravitated towards the Caribbean, and then of course especially Rastafari. Yeah. And I started to cite up Rastafari, I think, in a way in which many ones would have outside of the Caribbean probably, which is through 12 tribes. And, the way in which 12 tribes put on dances, open themselves up to the masses and the youth and the music is the message, right? So I came to know Rastafari through 12 tribes. I'm not 12 tribes, but that's how that was the door that opened it for I. And then, and we can get into this later if the I wants, right? But I was on a journey, young dude, a little bit of a sketchy journey, right? Towards Rastafari. But then I went to university late, so I left school early, right? And then I went back to kind of the equivalent of community college in my late 20s. Yeah. And so I started doing my degrees in my late 20s, early 30s.
Were you Ras Tafari at that point when you returned to university?
I was on the path.
You were on the path.
I was on the path.
Did you have locks? When did you?
Yes, I had locks.
When did you first put on your locks?
23, 24, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, 24, 24.
Just to establish the timeline.
Yeah, man. About 93, 94.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that, man. Yeah. But you know, the interesting thing, Ras Kwasi, right? And I'll be honest, is that I cut my locks when I started to do my PhD.
Okay.
And it took me some while to figure out how and why I dropped off the path.
Okay.
Right. And it's something to do with university.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can get into that. But anyway,
I definitely want to get into that. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
So how old were you when you started your PhD? So you're a doctor.
Yes, I. Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking and I noticed you don't write doctor on your
no, I'm a doctor, man.
Humble, humble man. But I thought so. You know?
Yeah, I'm one of them doctors that you don't want to have on the plane. You know what I mean? If someone says they're a doctor, I never put my hand up, man. I'm a doctor of philosophy, right?
Yes. Give thanks.
But yeah, so yeah, man. And then I did some traveling, and then I ended up we ended up in New Zealand, and in fact, it was kind of grounding with the indigenous people there. The Maori people there, that put me back on a path.
Okay.
Yes,
okay. So
you're on
the path to consciousness, and then doing your PhD. Was it pressure from the institution to look a certain way to be taken seriously? What was the impetus to trim? No overs, man. I mean, and especially if you think about, like, the UK is not quite the same as the US, right? Yes.
So like the I went to Howard, right? So there's no HBCUs in the UK.
Yeah.
There's that, you know what I mean? And the black presence in university remains to this day very, very small, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, I found myself when I went back to university and I was doing my undergrad, I found myself like literally running through the passages, running through the halls. I wanted to get in and get out. And I loved the library, but everything else felt like I was on not hostile ground, but it wasn't my place. I was an interloper.
Okay.
And it was really only halfway through my PhD that I started to think slightly differently about the place, right? And I think that's the kind of thing that we're talking about when we're talking about decolonizing the academy. And it comes in a lot of different ways. But one should not underestimate the degree to which some of these spaces, not all of them, but some of these spaces are feel a certain way for a good reason, which is that they want to bracket off any sense of black thought and black presence and other people's presences as well, by the way, you know, including class things, from that place. You know, like I did a postdoc in Oxford, and you know what was really interesting about that, teaching them Oxford kids, what was really interesting. So I used to give them people like, you know, to read, you know, because I do politics, right? So I used to give them people like Karl Marx. I used to give them Frantz Fanon, right? Now, what's interesting about this? Those two thinkers in different ways basically say that power and hierarchies and inequalities and oppressions are all structural. In other words, meaning it's not simply because you're stupid that you're poor. It's not simply because it's not because you come from a bad family or bad stock that you're poor. There are structural things which make it much more likely for certain ones in certain places to remain poor and to remain oppressed, right? This is the structural argument, right?
Okay.
Now, I used to give it to the working class youth who were in Oxford, right? I used to give, and they hated it. They hated that argument, right? I used to give it to the rich ones. They loved it.
Wow.
Why? Because for the rich ones, it simply affirmed, right, why they were there. Because this is structural. Their parents were rich. They're going to be rich. Yes. They've been trained up their whole life to be expecting to walk through these corridors of power, ostentatious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Right? So Fanon and Marx and all them ones basically affirmed it helped them to explain themselves to themselves.
Yes.
Now, you take the poor, you take the working class ones, right? They have been told that the only reason they're walking through them spaces is because of their own merit.
Yes.
Right? Now, it's not untrue. Don't get me wrong. Merit obviously is a super important thing, right? One's own works. That's super important. But what these people were basically saying to them was, well, you're kind of lucky you got there.
Put it out for the youths. Yeah. Free higher gift. Freedom. Focus. Preparation. Determination. Yeah. That's the key to redemption. I'm Selassie. I'm a Gideon. Hey yo, this is for the people who stay in court with either criminal cases or child support. It's either entertainment or go play sports. That's the choice that them give you when your skin is black. The ghetto neighborhoods, they was filled with crack. Hard to move to the other side of the tracks. We work all day, plus we paid our taxes. Still Babylon treat us like we're second class. Wanna profile us when we stepping past. And when we drive, they follow with them lights. A flash, a flashback. Remembering back in the past. Escape plantation, crawl through the grass. When Babylon fall, then we all will laugh. They keep building their walls, but they all will crash. Because the people must be free. Exodus, well that's a must for me. We stay hungry, cause we on the grind. We stay hungry, cause we was born to shine. We stay hungry, we gotta use our mind to stay hungry. Ain't got time to waste time, stay hungry. When we on the move, we stay hungry. Ain't got no time to lose, we stay hungry. We got our minds to use, we stay hungry. Tell them knowledge is your phone. Yo, this is for my people who stay at work all day. Say them gotta work for them pay. Sometimes it hurt, but them still find a way to make ends meet. Sometimes they gotta pray. Some slaving them jobs to them old and grey. I'd rather live like an angel, fly away. Some say that they wanna be a thug, they just wanna be respected. No love, that's why they stray. Some drunk off a Hennessy and Alizé. Some just punks, I can spot them a mile away. Cause their style is wild, my mind civilized, cause it's coming from the banks of the Nile. Tell Babylon release the juveniles so the youths can see what they want to achieve. Proper education, that's what we need. Tell the youths that it's better to know than to believe.